So, how I build a SaaS powered by SurrealDB. First of all, developers get worse over time. I just wanted to start off with that. You know, you start out writing some HTML, CSS, maybe add some JavaScript or like PHP into the mix, at which point you were super proud to have built your first interactive web application. Congratulations, you got it. Now you move on and you start to build pointless applications. You have a plan though, let's build authentication, let's build a dashboard. So users can manage their account, right? Oh yeah, wait, the API needs to be used by external parties as well. Do it, do they? I mean, it's plenty of fun. And it's a learning experience. I've built many of meaningless products over the years, and without ever realizing that it was just a learning experience, as my friends. At some point, you'll find a gig for like $5 an hour as a relative wants to start a blog, or you set up a WordPress website. You might even build something completely custom of your own just to show off. You do this because any tech influencer on Twitter would say, PHP sucks and it will die out soon. So will WordPress, and besides that, it's bloated and it's stupid. Obviously, you deny the fact that a big chunk of the internet still runs on PHP. But who cares? They don't know, and you sound like you know what you're doing, so it's all good. Start to notice a trend. We're still learning here. We're inventing new stuff just for the sake of it, and deep down, we all know that we're too lazy to learn modern frameworks, but you know, who reads documentation anyways? It's fine though, it's still positive impacts on our skills and our knowledge. So, our gigs get bigger and bigger. We start to freelance without being a company, and we will for the first time have to decide our own hourly rate, for which we're all very scared, because imagine if you'll get denied. You want to dream bigger, it's all right. Then eventually we get our first real job, and you feel mighty to have gone through the interview process, and you scream it off the roofs. How exciting! We're going to work with the big lads. We have a meeting every day to catch up. How's that work? Oh, I got my first merge conflict. How do we resolve this? Why do liners have to make it so complex? Back to the topic. We're still learning. It's the start of our professional career. And this is where one might start to specialize in one field of expertise. You might find out that you suck at something, but you have many smart people around you who are always surprisingly happy to help you get going. And you also might find out that what you thought you liked unfolds very differently in a team dynamic. You might switch around a couple of times, but you can do that. It's fine. It doesn't hurt your portfolio just yet. That's been my journey for the past 9 years. Well, at least a summary of it. And I can't wait however, for some tens of years in the future, where I'll be looked at as a grandpa engineer, saying that Perl of this time is the best language ever built, just because I'm too lazy to learn something new. That might be Perl now, but it might be, in a few years, it might be PHP, if it isn't already. A couple of years after that, it might be JavaScript or Rust. Heck, not many people specialize in languages like Nix or Clojure, but even those will probably get to that very fine time. When I was asked to do a talk today, I didn't know what about. I was thinking probably something related to SurrealDB, as that is something I love and strive for right now, and probably what you all came for. A few days later, I looked at some of my old GitHub repos, and I just saw how inventive I was, just with TypeScript, no crazy libraries or anything. And I just remembered how much fun it was. Not to say that I've aged as a grandpa engineer already, but sometimes you need to remind yourself of how much fun programming can be. Instead of rotting your brain away in some complex problem, find a solution. It's what you were built to do. And don't rust away, no pun intended. It's in one subject, one language, one framework, one anything. Always keep an open mind to what's out there, and always help and listen to the ones around you. Now, all right, I just wanted to include this bit, as it sparked into my head. But what has been my spark for the past year? As you might have guessed, and I kind of gave it away, this has been SurrealDB. I was working on a project named Social in September 2022, for which I was looking for a database. And I have tried everything from traditional MySQL to the private beta of Cloudflare D1, but none of it really quite worked. So then by accident, I found out about SurrealDB, just as the hype was starting out. I caught the wave early, and I was hooked from the first minute. So much, in fact, that within the first day, I wrote a JS driver to make SurrealDB compatible with Cloudflare workers. That was short-lived, though, as only a short while later I found out about scope authentication, and that just opened a complete new world to me. But now cards has not gotten as much attention this past year, as I've started to work on PlayrBase, which is what I'll be talking about a bit. 2022 was the first year that we ran a proof of concept, player registration management system for 3x3 Unites, a Dutch-based organization. They host national events for which they used to maintain Excel spreadsheets to know when and where people would be competing. But we obviously figured out that there was a better solution to that. We initially built this with PHP, and it was fine during development, but anyone with a sane mind could have figured out that it wouldn't scale. Now, the project served 1,000 users for the first year, and while it held up, it did not do it well. That was when I got my light bulb moment. Let's rebuild this thing, but let's use SurrealDB. Now I can put my data and logic as close together as humanly possible, while I can also scale it across multiple nodes for high availability. Almost entirely SurrealDB? Well, the short answer is yes. While I've previously achieved uploading images and sending emails just with SurrealDB, for the sake of this project, I've offloaded a few things to API routes. This includes image uploads. They're handled via an API route. Images are downscaled, compressed, metadata is being removed, and they're stored in an S3 bucket. And secondly, authentication. The platform today supports email magic links, and while this is possible to do with just SurrealDB, we also wanted to add in social sign-in and passkeys. And realistically, it just eats a bit too much time right now. This is something, however, that we want to work on in the future. Yeah, if you could email in your database, that would be great. Well, funnily enough, it's actually possible with SurrealDB. You can do it. Besides that, all the logic, permissions, etc., it's completely handled via SurrealDB. And this is done via smart schemaful tables, events, relations, record links, and authentication and permissions. And that's really about it. All in all, this means that I can replace many API routes with a few files of database schema definitions and just be done. Besides that, as data, logic, and permissions are now intertwined, it's a lot easier to just make sense of the whole bunch. Yeah, so this is the part where I'm going to be showcasing a bit. Can I grab that one? There we go. Let's see. Like that? Is that good? Cool. All right. Let's see if this works in one go. It doesn't. That's great. Boom. There we go. So, yes, that's all right. Let's see. Where to start? So this is the user table. It's a pretty standard user table. Basically, you've got a table with permissions where everyone can select a user, but only the user themselves can update their own record, or they can delete it. You've got a name, you've got an email, you've got a profile picture when it was created and updated, and the email must always be unique. Now, what I'm doing in this project is I'm basically maintaining SOT schemas besides the SurrealDB schema itself in the same TypeScript file. And so I can also easily invert types from there, which I can use throughout the whole project. There are some events which I use to generate logs when the name, email, or profile picture changes. And when a user is removed, we also want to remove any other relations to that user. Let's see. Then we have organizations. So just to give you an idea, basically in this project you've got users, organizations, and events. A user can create an organization can create an event, and events can also be nested, and one user can play in an event or within a team in an event. Let's see, so this is basically the organization table. Everyone can select an organization. You can create an organization as a scope user. You can update or delete the organizations that you manage. Now let's see. You've got like some details on the organization, logo, banner, slug, a tier, which is used to decide what type of events an organization can host. And there are some interesting stuff here. It's a bit difficult to explain, but basically, you can nest organizations. So let's say that you've got a overseeing organization for an entire country, but there are also different regions in the country, like different districts where different events will be hosted. So the issue is you need to have people in that district that needs to manage the events in that district, and they need to be able to see the players in that district, but not in the other districts, because that would be like a security hole, basically. So you need to be able to nest organizations, but you can't do this and just say, oh, the organization is part of an organization, because it will only be one level, basically. So it needs to be recursively nested, basically. So an organization is part of an organization, and there's some logic here to decide if you can assign an organization to that organization. And there are managers. Let's see. Let's go to the managers thing first. So this is basically, oh, what's that? An edge table. So the relation there would be that's not managers, it should be, let's see. Yeah, managers. So a user manages an organization. So there are some permissions as to who can create relations between users and organizations. And you can also, not many people know this, but you can actually define the in and out field for a relation. Besides that, we're storing some information on the edge, and to decide if a manager role is basically confirmed or not. Now in the organization, we have the managers. So we're basically selecting all the managers that are tied to this current organization, but we're also selecting all the managers that are inherited from organizations that this organization is part of. And we basically just combine them together, and that is always computed when you select an organization record. Let's see. So then we also have events. Events have a name, description, banner, category. When are they organized? When is the event taking place? Who is organizing the event? If it's discoverable, published, and if it's part of a tournament. So, interesting part is you can have an event at the root level, like for the root organization, and then like a district organization can also host an event, but the event is part of the district organization, not of the overlaying organization, basically. But the thing is, you can have an event in the root level organization, and events in the district organizations can be part of like a tournament of the big organization. It makes sense to me, probably doesn't to you. I'm trying to explain it, it's a bit difficult. Yeah, it's, I mean, if there are any questions about like, if you want to like go deep dive into SurrealQL logic and schemas, I'm happy to go through it afterwards with you as well, if that is easier. But yeah. What I also wanted to show is the app itself. Let's find my browser real quick. Oh yeah, that is here. All right. So it's not much yet, because interestingly enough, the front end takes me quite a while longer than the back end to build. Like the back end is just the schemas, and my one password is broken. Great. There we go. Let's see. So basically, we're currently building out the dashboard. So we're building out the dashboard for the user-facing dashboard first, then we're building out organizations, which you can currently manage. Then we're building out events, and then we're building out registration. It's not much yet. that's the problem. I wanted to showcase more, obviously, but time is a factor, which is kind of sparse. So yeah. All right. Yeah, so that's the live demo part. Let's see. Just gonna put the chair back. Yeah, so it's built with Next.js, Tailwind, React Admin, Next internationalization, React Hook Form, ShatCN, that's how we like it, CVA for class variance authority, Lucid icons, and Zod for type safety, and that's all kind of tied together with SurrealDB. Yeah, so sir, you've been in a coma for 10 minutes. Oh boy, I can't wait to test all the new JS frameworks. It's quite a stack, but you know, I'm happy with it, and it allows me to iterate pretty fast on, you know, just continue building my product. Hold up, I need to switch it back, I think. There we go, that's better. Yeah, it's quite a list, but it works awesome, and we mostly try to stick to components that are within ShatCN UI, but we also build some custom components now and then. As for the auth flow, this is handled by API routes, as I said earlier. The token is stored in an HTTP-only cookie, which can be retrieved by the front end to authenticate the JS client. After that, we basically just query away. Queries are mostly sent via Jamstack query at the moment, but also sometimes via handlers invoked by React Hook Form. And that's all there is to it. I'm quite happy with the stack, as it makes logic abstract and easy to understand for me, if you understand the logic itself. And it makes the front end snappy and easy to write, just like the first that I discovered SurrealDB. I love it a ton, and even more now that I know the product even better and the people behind it so well. Yeah, so now normally there will be some finishing points here, but rather to finish off, I'd like to ask you some questions. And do we have the, yeah, we have the mic, there we go. So, question, what has been your spark this year, or last years? We're also eager to know what you most like about SurrealDB, and what you use it for, and how you discovered it. And do you have any questions for me, or maybe for the team, for other team members?
What has been my spark this year? All the interesting stuff happening in the JavaScript world is constant. It never stops. So that's where I get a lot of my spark from. You know, digging into new stuff and new things like that. Also, SurrealDB has been a big spark for me this year. Diving deeper into databases and understanding them a lot more. I'm most eager to know about SurrealDB. Discovered. How did I discover it? I discovered it by accidentally coming to the first SurrealDB meet. My boss sent me in place of him because he couldn't make it, and look, now I'm here wearing the merch, so something went right. And questions for you. I was just wondering if maybe there's a blog post, or if you have any code where you have authentication, what would you call it, pathway using SurrealDB like you have there, like so we can use as a best practice to to create.
Yeah, so there's actually I'm not sure if it's merged yet, but there's an Auth0 guide coming soon, or it might already be available. I'm not sure. That's one thing, and we're like over the coming months, we're aiming to introduce more like single sign-on, like the passkeys, and stuff like that, right? So like more forms of authentication, just than like the current username password that you can pass on to a scope function. So it's a bit sparse right now, but in the coming months we're going to be expanding that, and obviously like write more content surrounding that. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. That project that you have there, is that an open source project?
Yeah, it is.
So I can go in and look in.
It's on GitHub, yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the talk. So the first question, I think this year my spark, honestly, I've been really enjoying like Copilot. I feel like it just makes developers' lives so much easier. Yeah, and how I found out about SurrealDB, it was very random. I went to like a meetup, and there was like this guy from like a Japanese like fintech startup. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah.
You gotta pay.
Yeah, talking about SurrealDB, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And like, I had a look like on Google and see how fast it took off. So yeah, I think it's such a great like solution, such a great product. So yeah, I guess my question would be like, what would you say is the biggest differentiator or selling point of SurrealDB compared to like database solutions that's been around for like a longer?
Well, I mean, you can take Postgres, and then you got your relational data. You can take Neo4j, and then you've got your graph data. You can take so many different sort of databases, and you'll need to pay for all of them, right? So the bill's going to add up. But the thing is, with SurrealDB, you get all of it in one small performant binary, which you can run locally. You can run it embedded. You can run it like single node in like a VPS instance, and like it will serve 1,000 users, right? Easily. You can run it in a cluster for like a region. You can run it worldwide on TiKV. So it's basically, the thing is, it's one package to do everything. And the logic that I was trying to showcase, it's quite complex, and you would normally need like tens of APIs for it to run it all. But it was like 5 schema files, just database schema files, and that's it, and it just works. So in general, I'd say it combines the whole package into one, and it generally makes it like easier for you to build your like application. There you go.